They called me crazy. My own family, my wife, my friends, they all thought I'd completely lost my mind when I spent our emergency savings, every last penny, not on a plane ticket to a promised job opportunity, but on what I believed was a once-in-a-lifetime investment. They watched me board that bus, not a plane, and shook their heads, convinced I was throwing away our future for a delusion. But that plane ticket led me to an unlikely fortune, a discovery that changed everything, and ultimately proved them all wrong in the most spectacular way. Was I a fool to trust my gut against everyone else's advice? Or was it the bravest thing I ever did? Tell me honestly, would you have risked everything for a gut feeling, even if it meant being ridiculed by everyone you loved? My name is Arthur, and for most of my adult life, I was defined by struggle. I was a 42-year-old high school dropout, a factory worker for nearly 2 decades, living paycheck to paycheck in a small, unremarkable town. My wife, Maria, was a cashier at the local grocery store, a fiercely practical woman who worked tirelessly to keep our small family afloat. We had 2 children, 12-year-old Sophia and 9-year-old Leo, and our biggest dream was just to send them to a decent college, something neither Maria nor I ever had the chance to do. Our life was a constant exercise in budgeting, scrimping, and hoping for a miracle that never seemed to arrive. The factory I worked at for so long had been slowly dying for years. Layoffs were common, and the air was thick with desperation. Then, 6 months ago, the inevitable happened. They announced the plant would be closing permanently. Over 500 people, including me, were out of a job. It was a devastating blow. Maria and I had saved every spare dollar, about $8,000, in a special emergency fund. It was meant for medical crises, for unexpected car repairs, or, in our worst nightmares, for a rainy day like this. Days turned into weeks, then months, and the job hunt was brutal. My skills were outdated, and the local economy was in freefall. Hope dwindled with each rejection letter. Then, a glimmer, an old friend from high school, now a successful engineer, called me. He said his company was expanding in a distant state, and he could get me an interview for a supervisory position. The catch, the interview was in person, a cross-country flight away, and I'd need to be there in 3 days. He even offered to put in a good word, saying it was practically a done deal, if I could just show up and impress them. It was a lifeline, a chance to rebuild our lives. Maria was overjoyed. "Arthur, this is it. Our chance. Use the emergency money, buy the plane ticket, whatever it takes." Our kids were excited too, imagining a fresh start. Everyone rallied around me. I booked the cheapest flight I could find, a red-eye that would get me there just in time. The ticket cost almost $700, a huge chunk of our savings, but worth it for this opportunity. But then, the dreams started. Not actual dreams, but a series of incredibly vivid, almost prophetic visions that came to me every night. They weren't about the job, or the plane, or even my friend. They were always the same, a specific, remote patch of land outside our town, a place I barely knew. In these visions, I saw myself digging, unearthing something incredible. It felt so real, so compelling, that it started to consume me. It felt like a message, a powerful urge I couldn't ignore. I tried to tell Maria about it. "I keep having this feeling about the old Miller farm," I said hesitantly, knowing how crazy it sounded. "Like there's something important there." She just laughed, a nervous, strained laugh. "Arthur, please, you're stressed. Focus on the job, that plane tick. It is our future." My kids looked at me with confusion. Even my friend, when I mentioned it vaguely, told me to get my head in the game. Everyone thought I was cracking under the pressure. The night before my flight, the vision hit me harder than ever. It was so potent, so undeniable, I felt physically ill. I couldn't shake the feeling that if I got on that plane, I would be missing something truly monumental, something meant for me. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding. I looked at the plane ticket, then at the last $7,300 in our emergency fund. My mind raced. The Miller farm was a dilapidated, abandoned property. It was technically still owned by an elderly, distant cousin of the Millers, who lived out of state and hadn't visited in decades. It was overgrown, forgotten. I did something impulsive, something completely out of character. I didn't get on that plane. Instead, I drove to the old Miller farm. I spent the entire day there, just walking the land, feeling that insistent pull. That night, I made the most insane, terrifying decision of my life. I used the remaining $7,300 not on another plane ticket, but on something else entirely. I found the elderly cousin, tracked her down, and offered her that money for the deed to the old farm. She was shocked but agreed, happy to get rid of a property she thought was worthless. When I told Maria what I had done, her reaction was devastation. $7,300 for that pile of dirt. Arthur, what have you done? We have nothing left. You threw away our future. My God, you're crazy. She cried. Sophia cried. Leo looked utterly bewildered. My friend called, furious that I had missed the interview. You blew it, Arthur. You blew the only chance you had. I was ostracized, ridiculed, and felt the crushing weight of their disappointment. But deep down, a quiet, unwavering certainty pulsed through me. I knew, with every fiber of my being, that I had done the right thing. The next morning, armed with a rented shovel, a pickaxe, and a renewed sense of purpose, I went back to the old Miller farm. I walked to the exact spot from my dreams, a place near an old, crumbling stone well. The land was overgrown with weeds and brambles, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. I started digging. It was back, breaking work under the scorching sun. Hours passed, my hands ached, sweat poured into my eyes, and doubt began to creep in. Was I truly insane? Had I ruined everything for a hallucination? Maria's tear-streaked face flashed in my mind, Sophia's quiet disappointment, Leo's confusion. I hit rock bottom, literally and figuratively, that afternoon. The shovel struck something hard, not rock, but something metallic. My heart leaped. I dug faster, feverishly, unearthing a rusted old metal box, half buried in the soil. It was heavy, almost too heavy to lift. I pried it open with the pickaxe, my hands shaking. Inside, nestled among layers of old, decaying cloth, was a collection of tarnished metal objects. They looked like old coins, but they were oddly shaped, with strange markings. I had no idea what they were, but they felt ancient, important. I took the box home, a mixture of exhilaration and terror washing over me. I still had no idea what I had found, or if it was truly valuable, but the feeling of my dream confirmed was undeniable. So that's the situation I was in. Alone, ridiculed, having gambled every last penny on a hunch, now holding a box of strange, ancient metal objects that might be worth nothing or everything. Before I tell you what those objects truly were, and how this crazy decision transformed my family's fortune and my entire life, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have sold the old farm and tried to recover some of your losses? Or would you have kept digging, trusting your gut against all odds? What do you think was inside that box? I carefully cleaned the objects, removing decades of dirt and rust. There were about 50 of them, some larger than others, all bearing intricate, unfamiliar symbols. They definitely weren't modern coins. I searched online for hours, describing the symbols, the shapes, the metal itself. Nothing. I went to the local library, poring over history books, looking for any mention of strange artifacts from our region. Still nothing. The initial excitement began to wane, replaced by a dull dread. Had I really thrown away everything for a box of junk? Then, in a moment of sheer desperation, I remembered an antique appraiser my friend Emily used to talk about, a specialist in rare historical items who had a small shop in a neighboring city. With trembling hands, I gathered the most intact pieces, placed them in a small cloth bag, and drove the hour-long journey. The appraiser, a stern but kind-looking woman named Ms. Albright, took one look at the objects, her eyes widening in genuine surprise. She picked one up, examining it under a magnifying glass. "Where did you find these?" she asked, her voice hushed with reverence. "This is extraordinary." I told her my whole crazy story about the dreams, the plane ticket, the abandoned farm. She listened intently, nodding slowly. "Mr. Arthur," she said, her voice filled with awe, "what you have here are not just old coins. These are pre-Columbian gold and silver artifacts, likely from a forgotten Native American tribe that once inhabited this region. The symbols are a lost language, and the craftsmanship is incredibly rare. This isn't just a discovery, it's a historical treasure." My heart pounded in my chest. How much are they worth?" I managed to stammer. She gave me a conservative estimate, a number so astronomical I thought I misheard her. "After authentication, conservation, and proper valuation by experts, you are likely looking at, well, Mr. Arthur, a minimum of $15 million, possibly much more ***. I walked out of that shop in a daze, clutching the bag of treasures, $15 million. It was more money than I could ever have imagined in my wildest dreams. I called Maria. I could barely get the words out. She thought I was joking, then she thought I was having a mental breakdown. "Arthur, stop playing, we have nothing." I pleaded with her to trust me, just this once, to come to the appraiser's shop. She arrived, skeptical and furious. Ms. Albright patiently explained the situation, showing Maria the artifacts, the historical significance, the estimated value. Maria's face, initially etched with worry and anger, slowly transformed into one of stunned, tearful disbelief. The kids, Sophia and Leo, were equally bewildered and then utterly thrilled when they finally understood. My family finally believed me. The ridicule melted into awe. The aftermath was a whirlwind. The discovery quickly became local news, then regional. Historians, archaeologists, and museum curators descended upon the Miller farm, eager to explore the site further. We worked closely with them, ensuring the proper excavation and preservation of the historical site. The artifacts themselves were meticulously authenticated and valued. The final, official valuation came in at a staggering $22 million. My life, our lives, were utterly transformed. The $7,300 I spent on the deed was the best investment I ever made. We didn't keep all the artifacts, of course. We donated a significant portion to museums, ensuring their preservation and public access, especially the pieces with immense historical value. We established a trust with the proceeds, providing for our children's education and future, and setting aside funds for archaeological research. I finally opened my own auto garage state of the art, and exactly as I always dreamed, Maria was able to retire from her job, pursuing her passion for gardening. We bought a beautiful new home, not ostentatious, but comfortable, with a big yard for the kids and a small workshop for my newfound hobby of restoring old tools. My friend, the engineer who offered me the job, called me, humbled and apologetic. "I guess you weren't so crazy after all, Arthur," he admitted, a note of awe in his voice. My family, who once doubted me, now looked at me with respect and a little bit of wonder. The plane ticket I didn't take led me to a fortune far beyond anything a factory supervisor job could ever offer. It wasn't just money, it was vindication, a testament to trusting my intuition, even when everyone else thought I was losing my mind. I learned that sometimes the greatest opportunities aren't found on a scheduled flight, but in the places everyone else has long forgotten. So, here I am, once a struggling factory worker, now a multi-millionaire, an entrepreneur, and most importantly, a man who proved his family wrong in the most unexpected way. My children will have the education and opportunities I never did, all because I chose a dusty old farm over a plane ticket. Like this video if you believe in following your gut, even when everyone thinks you're crazy. Subscribe for more stories of unexpected riches, impossible gambles, and dreams coming true. Share your thoughts on my crazy decision and what you would have done in my shoes in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.